Call Corey wrote in. He said he hooked up with an actress in 2006 and she had a number of strange things in the mini fridge in her hotel room. It's always fun when I get to start a spooky scary story off with a disclaimer. This is one of those stories. If this resembles any certain type of person, can't prove the validity of this story. These stories could come from anyone. Don't come for me. I'm not making any allegations. I'm not going to use a person's name. Okay, now that we've got that all out of the way, he says this is 100% true. He's told this to a few people and everybody that he's told thinks he's crazy. But now with the release of a certain set of files, it doesn't seem so far-fetched. So he was in Shreveport, Louisiana in 2006. He was gambling. He was at a casino on the third floor of a casino boat playing poker on a Saturday night, as he often did. And there was a party happening in an adjoining room. He could hear the DJ from the party playing music, but knew it was a privately rented room, so he couldn't do anything about it. He just went about his poker game. There had been a murder mystery being filmed in Shreveport, Louisiana, where this story takes place. The film had just wrapped, and he found out that the party in the adjoining room was the wrap party for this film. There was security everywhere. It was very VIP. It was absolutely not open to the public. Cool. He's not concerned. He's happy to play his poker game. But around 11 p.m., it is announced that this very famous, very beautiful actress is entering the room. And everybody cheered. And he said the reason she was entering was because she had to use the restroom. And the restroom was shared between the two rooms and the adjoining deck. She had to walk through this poker room or something to get to the bathroom. And he said he had just taken a bathroom break. And he was coming out of the restroom as she was entering the women's restroom. As they passed in the hallway, they locked eyes. He said hi and she smiled at him. And he said he's not even going to lie. He was fanboying hard because she was gorgeous, but her bodyguard was right outside the bathroom and he was keeping a watchful eye, so he just kept it moving. He was still slowly walking back to the table because he was hoping that she would come out of the bathroom so that he had another chance to talk to her, because he said that he felt, as they locked eyes, that there was chemistry. As he was almost back at his poker table, he says he felt a tap on his shoulder. He turns around. She's standing there. She's like, hey. And they start talking. And it was just kind of the three of them. It was her, him, and then the bodyguard standing a few feet away. After a minute of her asking him about him asking her about her, she invites him back to the party in the private room. And of course he says yes. So he goes, and he said it was filled with other people that were in the movie, stagehands, directors, everybody involved. And they had a great time at the party. He said, for reference, he also doesn't drink or use any type of substances. This is important, but he says that they spent hours talking and hanging out and laughing at the party. And after a few hours, the party was winding down, but they were still talking. And the bodyguard, by the way, never left their little bubble. He was always just a few feet away. Said he was absolutely in awe that she was paying him attention, even though he did feel like there was chemistry. But he was just like, I always thought she was gorgeous. I never thought that she would give somebody like me a chance. And this is the part that he says everybody questions his story. Nobody believes him anyway, but he says that she invited him back to her hotel room. Of course, he says yes again. They are followed by the bodyguard. They leave the party. They get back to the room. She's sort of hanging on him because she had been drinking, and he said she was slightly intoxicated. But they get back to her hotel room, and there was an adjoining room for the security guard, and it had like the door in the middle. So the security guard went in his room, but they left the door open. She told him that she needed to shower and would he mind waiting. He says yes. He sat on the bed. He comes out of the shower in a towel. She motions for the bodyguard to close the adjoining door. He does. They talk for a little while. They do a thing. They ended up laying around, laughing and talking for the majority of the night until about 5 a.m. when she tells him, hey, I think it's time for me to wind down. I'm actually getting pretty tired. I want to go to sleep. He's like, okay, no problem. He's trying to gauge if she wants him to stay or if she wants him to leave. And she goes to the little mini fridge cooler. And this is what boggles his mind because she opens it up. He says inside were packs of blood and packs of what appeared to be beef jerky. He said the packs were the exact same as they take when you donate blood. And he said he must have looked shocked, and she saw the look on his face and she just brushed it off. And she was like, oh my gosh, it's no big deal. Everybody does this. It's necessary. We do a lot of things that normal people would think are disgusting, but anyone who has sealed the deal has to do this. He's like, seal what deal? And she's like, I've already said too much, but just know that it gets tiring. He says she also mentioned at some point that she was a lot older than people assumed that she was. I'm not sure the context of that conversation in which that happened. So he said after she told him this, he was floored and he didn't know what to say or do. And she actually offered him some of what she was having. Said he politely turned it down and she was just like, no worries, it's okay. So she did tell him something to the effect of, well, you're missing out. And he says that they cuddled. He wanted to leave, but he was like too afraid to. And he didn't want to appear weird to her after he had just revealed all of this to him. I don't know. They cuddled. She ends up falling asleep. He said he did like talking to her. She talked to him like she had known him her entire life. She felt very comfortable, like they had been lovers. And he said that eventually she just said goodnight and fell asleep in his lap. He waited until he was sure that she was completely asleep. He covered her up and then he went to leave. But as he tried the door, he realized it was locked somehow from the outside. And he started banging on the door, and the bodyguard in the adjoining room came in and he said, "Is she asleep?" And he said, "Yes." The bodyguard says, "Are you leaving now or when she wakes up?" And he says, "I'm going to leave now." And the bodyguard says, "Good call, but before you leave, I need your identification." Corey's like, "What?" And he says, "Yeah, I need you to sign an NDA. You will sign before you leave." He said it was not being offered as an option. Said the bodyguard, while seemingly nice, was also very firm, and so he just said, "Sure, no problem." And he followed him into the adjoining room where there was an NDA on the table, which he signed. He also took a picture of his ID, and he says after that happened, a third person entered the room, and it was a lawyer type woman. She was reading him a bunch of legal jargon, gave him another form to sign, which he said he was in such a hurry to leave, he just signed it. And then they said, "We're going to have some people take you to your truck in the parking garage." And this also freaked out Corey because he had not mentioned anything about his truck or where it was parked. But 3 other men came in the room and they seemed like bodyguard types. They walked him to his truck in the parking garage. And when they get to his truck, one of the men opens up the door and says, "Have a nice day." And he does this. And he puts his finger over his lips as if to indicate to hush. Inside the truck, there was a copy of the NDA that he had signed pinned to his visor. He said, "I have no idea how they got inside. I had the keys the entire time. But as I pulled out of the parking garage, another black truck followed me out and followed me for about a mile down the interstate." He was super freaked out upon getting home. He said he could not sleep. He took a shower, he ate some food, and finally ended up going to bed around 4 or 5 p.m. the next day. And he slept forever. He said when he woke up, he was completely exhausted. After this experience, he said he had nightmares for weeks, and he says, "I don't care if anyone believes me. This is 100% true. While the nightmares finally stopped, I will never, ever forget this." He says he still has a copy of the NDA in a safe vault.